What is going on, guys? Welcome to this very free-handed video. It's not free-handed because the camera's on a tripod, but I mean my hands are free, but then I don't have a microphone. Okay, it's a very basic video. There's not great lighting, there's no microphone. It's a vlog, I guess you can say. So you can follow me, a very super tech enthusiast, as you can tell from my YouTube channel, as I purchased my first ever Apple product. So if you're kind of like worried about jumping the gun and getting an Apple product too, just like I am, I guess you could see my experience. Maybe, you know, I'm going to be grinding my teeth throughout this video doing this, but it's time to expand my horizons and see what's out there, you know, for Apple. I've never owned an iPod, whatever, anything, nothing Apple. I find they're too expensive. They have lack of features, or they're overpriced, again, for lack of features. I find that you can't really do anything with some of the products like the iPhone and iPad. You can't customize it. It's kind of like Apple's like, here is our iPhone or iPad. You can load apps on it and that's it. Whereas Google is kind of like, here's our Android device. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. Customize it however you want. Just go nuts. Oh, and by the way, you can load apps on it. So, you know, it's coming down to a few limited things I'm going to narrow it down to. It could be the new Ipod Touch, which Apple just revamped a few weeks ago. They finally released a new version. Or it could be the iPhone 6s, which was just announced a couple days ago, which I dub the iPhone success, because you know it's going to sell no matter what. And then of course down to maybe a MacBook. So one of those three products, you know, follow along as I go through the prices and stuff like that. And I will end up reviewing whatever product I get, which is also obviously a first for me. So yeah. But I'm totally put off by the Ipod Touch. They just revamped it a few weeks ago, and prices here in Canada are pretty expensive, especially because our dollar's so low right now. But like the base model is $250. I just kind of find it absurd because the screen is just so small. You know, it's 4-inch, which is like really hard for me to type on because you know, I've used some other Apple products just like from friends and stuff. I've never owned it, but I've used it. A 4-inch screen is just too small, especially for $250. And it's not even 720p. And I know a lot of people argue that, you know, seeing 720p or 1080p in a cell phone is overkill. It's not true. My Note 5 is 1440p, it's beyond 1080p, and yes, you can see a difference. Come on, it's not even HD, like, I don't know. So the Ipod Touch is it's just not gonna happen. So I just got it at Best Buy. The Apple section is pretty packed, and it's not even prime time for shopping yet the Apple section is one of the busiest parts of the store. People just flocking around, it's pretty nuts. Saw some of the equipment in person myself. So, I decided to continue the segment inside the car because it's quite windy. I didn't want any wind distortion playing. So I'm still in Best Buy. And it's pretty interesting because the first thing you see when you walk in, in fact, even as I'm walking down the parking lot towards the entrance, I'm not in the store yet, I can see this massive iPhone sign from outside the store as I'm walking in the parking lot. It's this bright white sign for the iPhone. Really smart marketing on Apple. And, you know, just going over to the Apple section with the iPads, MacBooks, blah, blah, blah. You know, you have these kids that are small, like 4 or 5 years old, swarming to the iPads because we're in a day and age where parents are lazy and they'll just shove a tablet in their kid's face just to distract them. And of course, the iPads are rather popular, especially with kids. So, you know, you have these little kids swarming up to it, trying to play with it. And yeah, the devices, man, they're super sexy, especially the new MacBook. They're really sleek, really thin, attractive looking devices, but the new MacBook with that single USB port, USB-C, is not cool, Apple. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says, that's just not cool at all. But you know, it's just interesting. It's like highway traffic. It's flooded with people, and you know, when you're driving on the highway, you have a lot of people with you, a lot of traffic, and if you speed up and separate from the group, you're driving on your own for a little while, and then you reach another group of traffic on the highway. Same here, you have a swarm of people, and you know, it's pretty crowded, and then for like a minute or so, it's dead quiet all of a sudden. It's really weird, as you guys can see. And then all of a sudden, after that minute, it's flooded with people again, and the sales reps there are like running like their butts on fire, trying to help people and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. So, you know, you guys saw that I was at Best Buy, and I was trying to record and just make it really subtle like this. And I was trying not to look like a weirdo, even though in reality I am a bit of a weirdo. But one place I could never get the camera, of course, is the Apple Store, because it's flooded with people. I find that a lot of people have no idea what they're doing when it comes to Apple products. There are some people that know that they want an Apple product, they know why, and they're going to buy it. There are some people that will just see an Apple product and they're just going to buy it, even though it could be literally crap. I'm pretty sure Apple could release a piece of shit, like literally shit, and people will buy it. Apple could have this presentation explaining how they spent a lot of time designing it and it's the greatest piece of shit you'll ever own or Apple has ever made. And people will buy it and they'll have some sort of presentation that kind of looks like this. We have created the greatest piece of shit of all time. This thing is going to be revolutionary and everyone's going to have it in their home, on their counters, in their kitchen, and with their kids playing with it. In fact, right now, I have that piece of shit in this ball right here. Now, well, it took me about 15 years to design this piece of shit. And because of my British accent, people will think I know what I'm talking about, despite it being absolute nonsense. Okay, so I'm here in Montreal, and I have this huge hotel room, which is like the size of a small apartment, and it's fairly large, really nice. And you know, usually hotels don't really include a computer in their room. This hotel did, and out of all computers, they left an iMac for use. And like, I'm actually quite surprised they left such a nice one for people to use, such a nice computer rather. And I've seen many iMacs previously in Apple stores, Best Buy stores, and you know, they look nice. But this one actually stands out a lot more, I guess just because it's sitting on its own on the desk. I mean, it has that like really sexy look. I mean, it's really, really cool. It wasn't exactly the best user experience just because they have the Apple mouse, which is atrocious, but this is like a sign that maybe I should get an Apple product, which is kind of crazy. This is my laptop right now. This huge honking Dell laptop. Like this thing, it weighs, I think, more than 10 pounds. I would say like 12, 13 pounds. It's quite heavy. My wife hates using it. Like, it's big, it's bulky. It's got an i7 processor. But with the hard drive in it, I couldn't play 1080p videos on YouTube. It just couldn't handle it. It could play 720p, just barely. I then, you know, eventually I had an extra SSD, which is a solid state drive. Swapped it, put it in here, and it can now handle 1080p videos, but it doesn't perform like an i7 processor. This thing is just, it's a laptop, they overheat, you know. So I decided I'm gonna get a MacBook. I think that's the way to go. My only concern is that with a MacBook, they're extremely expensive. I really want to get a MacBook Pro just for that. I think they have a 1440p screen on the Retina display one. So that's way too expensive. I think after tax in Canada, you're looking at almost $1,800. So I'm going to end up going with the MacBook Air, but the issue is that they're the cheapest ones for MacBooks, but the problem is that they're too small, at least the 11-inch, and you're looking at some crazy prices. So 11-inch starts at $1,000, 13-inch starts at $1,200, and then here in Ontario, Canada, we have 13% tax on top of that. So, I mean, I was gonna make a trip to the US. It equals out to about the same money conversion. It's the same thing as US dollars, so it doesn't matter. But you know, they advertise as getting some crazy battery performance. My biggest concern is that I'm gonna get the base model because it's just so darn expensive. The 13-inch version, I think the 11-inch is way too small. It comes with 4 gigs of RAM. That's it. So I'm a little concerned about that, but there's gotta be a reason people get it. So I'm gonna bite the bullet. This is the product I'm gonna get. This is the first Apple product I'm ever gonna get, a MacBook Air. Okay, so it's here. Actually, it's been here for a while. The MacBook Air I've had for a few weeks now. I've been testing it out. And it's crazy because every time I walk up to my desk, it's like I'm walking up to a piece of metal, just a slab of metal. It's just so thin and light. Honestly, it's nuts. I can just pick it up and I could just slap someone with it because it's so thin and light. That's how easy it is to pick up. So if you just put it up against that honking brick of a laptop I've been using, the MacBook Air is less than half the thickness of this big brick. And maybe only 20% of the weight of this thing. It's crazy, crazy thin. It's super sleek and sexy. So I mentioned that my wife hates using this. She loves using this though. Sometimes I'll come downstairs and I'm just gonna browse the web while sitting on the couch, and she's already got this before me and I'm just like, crap. She beat me to it. So as I mentioned, this is running an i7 processor 8 gigs of RAM and an SSD. Now the parts are actually dying in this though. It's not running the way it should have when it first came out of the box. It is a dying laptop, but it can barely handle 1080p videos with all those specs. The concern with this thing is that it only has 4 gigs of RAM, and for a Windows PC or laptop, that's like barely cutting it nowadays. It's not that great for watching 4K videos even on YouTube. This base model of the MacBook Air, this is the most absolute base model, 13-inch, nothing upgraded. My biggest concern is 4 gigs of RAM enough? So you can find the results of what I think in the review video. Yep. So I made an unboxing and review video. Well, the video is almost done editing. And you know, just watch it, and I'll actually give you real world performance tests. I'm not going to do benchmark tests with this laptop. Benchmark tests are stupid. I'm just going to give you some practical situations. You know, find out the results in the review video. Generally though, out of the box, really excited, super stoked, and then when I turn it on, I'm setting up my Apple account, inputting it because it's like you need an Apple account to get the full potential of your new MacBook. It wouldn't accept it. It wouldn't accept my Apple ID. It was like there's a problem with the server, so I spent an hour resetting my password like 4 times, and I just got fed up and I just skipped inputting my Apple ID and just continued setting up the MacBook Air. And even then, it still wouldn't accept it. I had to go back to my Windows desktop PC and go to the Apple site and verify my account through some workaround method, which was not easy. And then I was able to get it back working in the MacBook Air. So the initial booting up and using it was a big turn off for me, but it's pretty cool now. But again, I'm gonna list like the full results of what I think in the review video. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my struggle to get an Apple product, which is now kind of funny because I've pre-ordered the iPhone 6s, or as I dub it, the iPhone 6s possibly. I also went a bit eccentric and did this. I got a Beats Solo 2. I never thought I would own a Beats product or an Apple product, yet here I get 2 at the same time. Yeah, so the review for this will be in my channel in a few weeks, whereas this will be like one of the next set of videos coming up, the unboxing and review. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you're like me, very not sure about Apple products, be sure to check out the review and unboxing in the video description. And be sure to check out my Facebook, Google+, Twitter links also in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.